America, one nation under ourselves. SkyWatch TV News, June 29th, 2015. I'm Derek Gilbert. The big story today, of course, is the decision on Friday by the United States Supreme Court to find somewhere in the Constitution, perhaps written in invisible ink, a federal right to call same-sex unions marriage. Chief Justice John Roberts, in his dissent, wrote, "The truth is that today's decision rests on nothing more than the majority's own conviction that same-sex couples should be allowed to marry because they want to. Whatever force that belief may have as a matter of moral philosophy, it has no basis in the Constitution." Now, before you stand and cheer for Chief Justice Roberts, remember that it was his deciding vote that has now twice saved Obamacare. First, by deciding that the penalty for not carrying health insurance was a tax rather than a penalty, which thus meant that the Congress could justify compelling you and me to buy a product or service, which the Constitution does not give Congress the right to do. Last week, Chief Justice found that Congress didn't really mean it when it wrote that tax subsidies for Obamacare would only go to those people who had signed up through a state-run exchange. This was Congress's way of compelling the states to go along with this. Dozens of states called the bluff of the federal government and refused to set up their own insurance exchanges. So the Obama administration responded by having the IRS issue a rule that subsidies would apply to everyone. So state-run exchange equals federal-run exchange in the eyes of the Supreme Court, at least a majority on the court. So the Supreme Court basically, in that ruling, determined that words really don't matter, and that all Congress has to do is tell the Supreme Court what policy outcome it wants from a law, and the Supreme Court would just legislate it from the bench. Setting that aside, the question for Christians now is how we should respond. It's easy to get angry. Our frustration is liable to show in less than loving responses to those who are in favor of same-sex marriage. Now, sadly, for many people, the only gospel that they will ever know is what they see in you and me. And while it's difficult to be loving and gracious to people who are calling us hateful bigots, that is what we are called to do. Now, this doesn't mean accepting a redefinition of God's standards of righteousness or holiness. We cannot condone any legal, political, or cultural redefinition of marriage. As Jesus said to the Pharisees, "Have you not read that he who created them from the beginning made them male and female, and said, therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." Of course, redefining marriage opens the door to other relationship configurations. Already, calls are appearing in the scholarly law journals for a redefinition of marriage to include polygamy. The argument being that now that we can define marriage as whatever we like, there is no constitutional basis to prevent multiples from marrying, men, women, or other. The Emory Law Journal, perhaps anticipating the court's response, published this paper in its most recent edition. And in fact, polygamists, when you think about it, have more biblical support for their position than homosexual marriage activists. Abraham, Jacob, David, Solomon all had multiple wives. So now that the court has overruled God on the definition of marriage, there really is no legal or constitutional barrier to stretching marriage to include multiple spouses. Again, male, female, or other. Now, along that line, a leading transhumanist suggests that the LGBT movement may have a lot in common with transhumanists. Zoltan Istvan, the author of The Transhumanist Wager, writes in the Huffington Post that the two groups share a desire to alter, express, and control their bodies and identity, which can include sexual preferences and or gender. The main difference is that transhumanists want to do it with technology. So he argues that transhumanist technology will complement the LGBT movement and help push its agenda forward. This is shrewd thinking by Mr. Istvan. He is also running for president, by the way, in the Transhumanist Party ticket. And to be honest, the LGBT movement has had spectacular success in moving its agenda forward in the Western world. They have overturned thousands of years of cultural precedent and religious doctrine to benefit 4% of the population. If the transhumanists can ride on those coattails, they may achieve their goals of transforming humanity into something other than human a lot sooner than expected. And that's one reason a Florida pastor is arguing that it's time for Christians to embrace the transhumanist movement. Reverend Dr. Christopher Bennick, associate pastor at First Presbyterian Church in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, told me in an interview Friday that Christians should direct where transhumanist technology is going rather than waiting until it arrives and then reacting.
That's where we have to say, look, not all uses of technology are good. They're not all good. and they can actually hurt people. And sometimes moving forward too quickly can be bad. That being said, we can't deny the fact how quickly, and I would say increasingly, exponentially quickly, technology is developing. And so that makes it even more important for us to be in these circles and talk about it, because a lot of times technology will come out and then it determines what the kind of moral, ethical response is because it's already here.
You can hear that interview in full on my podcast, which has the somewhat tongue-in-cheek title of A View from the Bunker. That interview will be posted this coming Wednesday evening. The website is www.vftb.net. A computer programmer gets dissed by the artificial intelligence that he's helping to program. The Wall Street Journal reports this week that a computer AI using a database of movie scripts was asked by its programmer to define morality. The AI dodged the question's repeated requests to tell the programmer what morality was. Finally, the AI tells the programmer to be a man. This is part of the ongoing research into neural networks, research that's being conducted at many high-tech firms such as Google, Facebook, Twitter, Microsoft, Yahoo, and others, to create a computer that can mimic the way the human brain works. And at least all this computer could do was throw insults up onto its display. It wasn't in charge of anything like, say, lasers, although that may be coming soon enough. A German company is offering a high-tech laser system to defend the leaders of the G7 nations when they meet in Tokyo next year. This device would use 4 10-kilowatt lasers focused on a large mirror to knock drones out of the sky. The fear is that commercial mini-drones, which can be purchased by anyone over the internet, can be loaded up with bombs, explosives, and then detonated near a target. And right now, police, military, security services have no real defense against things like this. The Japanese government is reportedly showing interest in this laser-controlled device. On Friday, the Islamic State marked Ramadan with deadly attacks in 3 nations. Over 60 people were killed. In France, a supervisor at a gas plant was decapitated by a man who was apprehended while trying to blow up the plant. In Tunisia, a gunman shot and killed at least 37 at a beach resort. This resort, very popular among Britons as a tourist destination, a vacation spot. This is being called the UK's worst terror attack since 7/7, which were the bombings in London on July 7th, 2005, in which 52 people died. And in Kuwait, a suicide bomber struck a Shia mosque packed during Friday morning prayer services. 25 people were killed, over 200 wounded. Experts believe these attacks were part of the Islamic State's goal to mark the holy month of Ramadan with a wave of violence. Tomorrow night, we return to Babylon, in a manner of speaking. Dr. Michael Lake returns to SkyWatch TV, talks with Tom Horn, the second part of a 3-part interview about his new book, The Shinar Directive, Preparing the Way for the Son of Perdition. SkyWatch TV airs live on the Christian Television Network at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. That's UTC-5. You'll find it on Dish Network Channel 376, or 267, excuse me, Dish 267, DirecTV Channel 376, and the Glory Star Satellite Channel 117. It also streams live to the internet on the website at the Christian Television Network. That website is ctnonline.com. Now, if you can't watch it as it goes to air tomorrow night, you can watch it later in the week and then on demand at your convenience. The SkyWatch TV Roku channel is now officially in the Roku channel store, and since we were added to the channel store last weekend, we have now added we've quadrupled the number of subscribers to the channel, which caused us some problems with our website last week. If you tried to log on to skywatchtv.com and found that the website was apparently not there, it's because the rapid growth in our Roku subscribership has crashed the website. So we're in the process of moving all the videos to a different server so that the bandwidth issues don't cause any more problems. So be patient with us, but we should have those fixed within a day or so. It is a wonderful problem to have, and we thank you for signing up. If you haven't done so yet, if you have a Roku account and have not yet added our channel, please do so. Instructions are online at skywatchtv.com/Roku, or just log into your Roku account on your laptop or tablet and search the channel store for SkyWatch TV. We appreciate your support, both prayerful and financial. And we also appreciate your comments, questions, and suggestions. I'm happy to take those at dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. So we thank you for watching as we keep watch I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is SkyWatch TV.